I don't know if there's a huge need for defensive backs, but clearly there is. I mean, they see this as a guy that they think can help, and he fits more that, hey, this is somebody we can have in the program for 3 years. Kyle McCord, Julian Fleming, 1 year transfers.
1 year guys.
But this is more of a longer-term guy.
Yeah, Fleming could become your number one receiver. This guy is sometimes, Sean, you just add players that you think are good and you don't worry about the position. Just you're just add
especially
talent.
with this staff.
Yeah.
I mean, they've developed a pretty strong track record of just because a guy is listed on his high school recruiting profile to position, that doesn't mean he's going to be there a year or two from now.
Right.
So they see long-term of how guys can fit in different spots, linebacker, offense, safety, corner. Like there's a variety of spots that can be considered a defensive back.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. Yeah, the Fleming thing too, because we all agree that they don't really have a defined number one receiver.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I have a hard time saying that Malachi Coleman can be your number one, that Jalen Lloyd, Jaden Doss can be the number one.
I'll tell you what, those guys are pretty good.
They're good players.
They could be, but they're not right now.
Can you target those guys 12 times in a game?
Unclear, because they've never been targeted that much.
Seems that you just got. I kind of would want to see what kind of progress they make in the offseason, but I get where you're saying. Julian Fleming is, I think he had 79 catches at Ohio State in his
career,
yeah.
about 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he's a big body. What I like, a big body guy. I mean, pretty big body, 6'2", 210. Man, grown man. Yeah, so he'd be perfect.
I mean, here's the deal: he went to play wide receiver at Ohio State.
Right.
There's no program in the country that puts out NFL wide receivers like Ohio State.
And he was 3 or 4. You know, he was their third or fourth option.
Think about that.
It's pretty good.
Think about the room he was in.
And
he was the third or fourth guy.
And this is a Pennsylvania high school legend. I mean, this is a Pennsylvania 5-star receiver.
Number one player in Pennsylvania in high school.
Number one player in Pennsylvania. Now, I do my Alante Brown bit. That Alante Brown used to say, best player in Chicago. That's pretty good. That'd be fun to say. You're the best player in Pennsylvania?
A little different.
Yeah, that's a lot different.
Well, and Kyle McCord is also a PA guy.
Yeah.
Technically a Jersey guy that played in Philly and that's pretty common in that part of the country where kids that live in New York City or live in, New Jersey will go to Philadelphia or they'll go to New Jersey.
Especially Jersey. I mean, one bleeds into the other.
Yeah, to play football. If you live in New York, you play high school football in New Jersey. In this case, St. Joseph's in Philadelphia is a power that attracts New Jersey kids and players from everywhere to come play there because of that program. So two big name guys.
One thing that Derek mentioned to me, Derek McCord, was that relationship with Rule and Satterfield goes clear back to Satterfield and Rule at Temple. Because you think about Derek McCord was a quarterback at Rutgers. So he's in that football community. And he mentioned, one of the first things he mentions to me is I've known Rule and Satterfield since their days at Temple. That helps. I mean, a prior relationship can be really meaningful in this situation. And yeah, McCord was a 5-star big-time recruit. Kyle McCord was a 5-star big-time recruit. Now, his dad didn't play much at Rutgers. But Kyle, big-time player.
Now, the other thing to watch, I think, in the coming days is Daniel Kalen, the current quarterback recruit.
Yeah.
And, what is he thinking? His relationship is very good with Nebraska.
Yeah.
But how quickly did they get on the phone with him when the bomb started dropping on Monday?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Kalen could live with McCord, but the Raiola thing is a whole different deal. And
it is. You
think about all the way back to 2021, these two have kind of competed with each other for Nebraska. I mean, Kalen got his offer first from Nebraska. Then Raiola showed up to camp a couple of weeks later and just blew the doors off, had an unbelievable workout, got the offer, and immediately kind of jumped Kalen at that point. And he stayed over the top of Kalen over the entire recruiting process. Then he drops Nebraska.
Yeah.
Commits to Georgia.
Yeah.
And Kalen then gits the phone call and decommits from Missouri.
Yeah, they went to Kalen as the kind of the number 2 guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but they told him that. They said, look, if it doesn't work out with Raiola, we're coming to you. And they did.
And within 5 days, he flipped.
Right.
And so, the human being in you really feels for Daniel Kalen right now. Knowing just that he's almost a victim of this process of big-time college football right now. And that's the reality of what big-time college football is.
I was going to say, what did we just talk about earlier in this segment where this show was you don't win championships with feel-good stories.
No.
Like the in-state kid, yeah, it would have been awesome. You know, kid from Bellevue West comes down, hometown hero, all that. Guess what? You have the opportunity to land the best quarterback in the 2024 class and one of the top transfer quarterbacks in the country. Tough. That's the business.
I mean, McCord comes ready-made. To me, it's largely a McCord discussion. It's not. I mean, come on. Raiola's a legacy. It's got to be hard to jump in. There's politics. But, man, McCord to me is the critical piece of this discussion because he's ready-made. He's 6'3", 215. He led a team to 11-1
record.
Run
an offense.
Yeah, he's your week 1 starter.
Yeah, week 1 starter. He can make all the throws. He's tough mentally. You hear from people at Ohio State that his expression never changes. You don't know when he's up or when he's down. That's the exact kind of guy you need at Nebraska. You know what you're getting, and he's not. His ratio touchdown to turnover is 26-8. So doesn't throw a lot of turnovers. In fact, one of the deciding factors when he was competing with Devin Brown for the starting job at Ohio State was Brown made turnovers. He didn't. And by the way, just think about Kyle McCord going through an off season of competition with a guy at Ohio State and how
mentally prepped.
Yeah, how intense that is.
It's a game day every practice.
Right. How much did that help him? I got to assume a ton, So yeah, this is really exciting. I hope I hope for Nebraska's sake, they can lock him down.